Hi, welcome to Lighthouse Live. I'm Erin Bright,
And I'm John Bright.
and we are the owners of Lighthouse Inspect. It's a property inspection company based out of the Cincinnati area, but we serve Ohio, Cincinnati, and Indiana. I mean, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. And this is our second live, so welcome to our journey.
So we're still working out some of the camera and microphone stuff, and we had to default back to some AirPods in the ear tonight because it didn't quite work out. But we're going to give it our best go.
Yeah. So tonight, we are going to talk about gutters. Super, super exciting, right? But I do have some questions for John. Maybe give you a little bit of history before we get into the down and dirty of gutter maintenance, how to maintain it, why would you even care to maintain it, why is it important for your home. So before we get into that, John, when did the gutter system as a concept get started?
Well, first, I just want to point out that you're talking about the down and dirty, and I want you to get your head out of the gutter. All right, gutters. Actually, believe it or not, gutters have been around for over 3,000 years. So about, um, actually longer than that. So around 3,000 BCE, um, we were using gutters. People were using gutters in like the Indus Valley area, which is modern day Afghanistan, Pakistan, northern India area. They were using gutters that were built out of brick. And even the Romans at that time were using gutter systems that were made out of stone, lead, and um, and masonry stuff.
Wow. Can you imagine if we had those kinds of gutters on our house these days? Like what kind of structure you would need to be able to support a stone or a masonry or a lead
Well,
gutter?
Aaron, homes weren't built out of paper like ours are today.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I just like, we think of like saggy gutters and it's just like aluminum, right? They're just made out of aluminum.
Aluminum, vinyl, galvanized steel.
Okay. So, brick or stone, like, I just imagine you really need
Well,
some
wait, it gets
supports.
better because then you get into like medieval England, and gutters were stone at that point too. And this is where you have, how many of you remember the big gargoyles on like the castles or the old churches in Europe? Those were really part of the gutter system. Like you may even recall seeing some photos where water's rolling out of the gargoyle's mouth.
Oh, wow. So, like, Notre Dame, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and we're seeing these gargoyles on the tops of the buildings. That was actually like a functional
It's all
thing.
about rainwater management. You know, I think they put those demons up there because water is so dangerous to your buildings and your
Ah,
foundation.
clever, clever. But I know that's true, actually. I
And
do
then
know that's
even
true.
more, you get into like the 17th and 18th centuries, and lots of gutters were made out of wood that were actually hand carved out of a solid log. Like,
Wow.
so would you rather be the guy up dragging the stone gutter to the top of the roof? Or would you rather be the guy that has to sit there and chisel out a tree trunk to make gutters for your home?
Wow. I mean, that's going to like a big, like exhausting, physically exhausting. Like these gutters must have always been pretty important for us to go to this extent to add them to a home, to support them structurally. Like,
Well, you see some different purposes and reasons for the gutters as you go through history. Like when we were talking about the Romans and the lead gutter systems, they were routing that water into cisterns to use for clean water because it was
oh,
rainwater out of the
okay.
sky. But when we're talking about 3000 BC, when the Indus Valley region was using them, they were doing it just really to get it away from the foundation of the buildings and the structures, which is why we do it today. Now we vary that. You see a lot of people out there, like just a few years ago, the rain barrels were all the craze.
They were all the craze for us. I had two of them on our house. I'm a huge gardener, and uh, and yeah, the rain barrels. I was like all about that.
Yeah, so they even there are still places where you have homes that had not too long ago, and even in our area, where cisterns were a thing that collected groundwater and rainwater to be used in the home. And a lot of folks that have those properties that still have cisterns that are active are using it for irrigation or
Okay.
gardening, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this because it's might be a little bit of a detour, but what about those like I don't know what they're called, but they're like chains that you might hang off of the corner of a building. We see them more so when we travel to like to other countries where they might have them. I think it's a part of a water management system, but the chain runs off and it allows water to.
Yeah, it's really just a decorative or a cool way, another way to have downspouts without the tube. And so a lot of people like those now for the decorative reason because you get to see the water train. It's really using the physics, the tension between the molecules and stuff in the water and clinging to the thing. It's going to run down an object. It's not just going to fly off and float away.
Okay. So for an inspector though, you like the rain chain or you really prefer the gutter downspout?
Well, it's all about installation and maintenance on stuff like that. So frequently you have people that, you know, put these things in and but then they get knocked around. Maybe they get knocked around by the weed whacker or the lawnmower or something like that, and they're not no longer attached the way they should. The most important thing is to make sure that water is being managed from the time it hits your roof down to the gutters, through the downspouts, whether that's a chain or a pipe, and away from the foundation, whether that's through downspout extensions or perimeter drainage around the home, subsurface drainage.
Okay. So just really dumbing it down, the water, rainwater comes onto my roof. It follows the roof's slope to the gutter, which is what hangs for just the really uninformed person. The gutter is what hangs off the edge of our roof, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then there is a slight slope in that gutter that's going to help the water travel to the downspouts, which are the pipe looking things that follow usually a corner or yeah, of a building of our homes or other
Yeah,
buildings
usually. Yeah.
and then after it comes down the downspouts it travels underground, maybe in our home it does. Some pipes that take it away from the house. And I remember we had our gutters kind of more fixed up, some replaced, some resloped, and they moved some of our underground piping because over time the landscape had changed around our home, and so there wasn't like enough of a slope, so they had to change some of the underground pipes that were carrying the water away from our home just to make sure it was fully away from our home. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we move to maintenance, anything else you want to tell us about your gutter system, water management system?
Well, the most important thing is that your house is, as it receives that rainwater, it is moving it away. All the materials that we use on our house, almost none of it is designed to be waterproof. It's designed to be water resistant, and it is designed to shed water. So that whole, from your shingles to your gutters to your downspouts to the subsurface drains, that is, or the downspout extensions, that is a system. That is a total system, and it needs to move the water away from your foundation.
Okay, I think we've got that. So why is this? Well, I've had a number of questions about this recently, either in social media or in person. And so we thought, okay, this is a great topic. But it's also kind of timely, right? Because why would we need to be caring for our gutters this time of year?
So it's fall, right? Leaves are going to fall. Leaves like to collect in gutters, and leaves create dams in gutters, and now your water cannot make it to the downspout. Gutters just require maintenance, even our asphalt shingles. So your asphalt, even your brand new asphalt shingles are going to shed granules down into that gutter that can start making a rough surface, can make little hills in there.
Mhm.
Water can't get over it, or it's holding on to water. And the gutters themselves really should not be holding any water. It's not designed to be a tub. It is designed to be sloped and shed water, just like the roof. So you'll see lots of gutters leaking at seams and stuff like that when they hold water. And as your asphalt shingled roof ages, the granule loss continues to occur all the way until it's time to get a new roof on. And guess what? Even a brand new roof starts shedding granules again.
So our current gutter systems are not supported the way those like stone or wood gutters were supported. So they can't really support the weight of these granulars, the sticks, excuse me, the leaves.
Well, they do okay with the weight of it. They're attached well enough for the weight. It's if it's holding water. Like we will come up and see that on many homes where a gutter is starting to pull away from the eave, and usually we see a lot of staining and stuff around it. Like it's been holding water, and that water is what's carrying most of the weight.
Okay. So that's what's going to happen. That's why we need to clean our gutters. Um, What's your opinion about, I see these a lot advertised, but then I also see them a lot throughout neighborhoods. I know my mother is older now, and home maintenance is not the easiest thing for her. So we put some, what did you call them? Gutter toppers, nameless brand, gutter toppers onto her gutters so that there wasn't as much getting trapped in the gutter. And we also have a gutter topper.
Right.
What's your opinion?
So we can just put the gutter guard or the gutter screen or the leaf filter or whatever all the brands you didn't name are. And there's many designs. Some are just basic screens. Others are solid and it's designed to have the water kind of lap down in underneath them. So you put those on and now you got a maintenance-free gutter system, right?
Is it
though?
No,
it's not. No, it's not. It is not. The best thing about gutter toppers installed correctly and working well is that they're keeping things from getting into your downspouts and clogging up your downspouts because that's a bigger job to clear those out. Gutter toppers do collect roof debris, tree leaves, all that stuff, just like the gutters do. And we see it over and over again where nobody has cleaned off the gutter screens. So they still require some seasonal maintenance to keep them operating correctly. What you're doing is you're protecting the downspouts. And then it gets into installation too, because if those screens and those gutter toppers are not installed correctly, and we see them where they fall into the gutter and they're sticking up. And so you got these big holes where now that screen itself is catching leaves and stuff and blocking water. So it just like anything else in your all's homes, it requires some maintenance and some regular inspection.
So what are the signs if, say, I do have a gutter topper, or maybe I don't have a gutter topper? What are some signs that I might see around my house that would indicate to me that, hey, my gutters might be clogged, they might need cleaned, the screen isn't doing its job, maybe it's covered with all the debris that you were talking about?
Yeah, there's a number of signs that you can see. First one is, hey, it's been over a year since I've had anybody look at my gutters. It's like, that's the first one. Hey, nobody's been up there in a while. Maybe we ought to check it out. Second one is, a lot of folks like to mulch and landscape right around their home. You see areas where there's like these ridges or these lines of washout in your mulch. That's a sign that water is overrunning the gutter and dropping down along the side of your foundation. That means you got a gutter problem. Another one is if you look up at the gutter and you see lots of like dark staining, right? It's dark because it's running over all that asphalt on the roof, and it's staining your gutters like dark or black or gray. That's a sign that water is running over it as well. And then if you see some of that staining like on the fascia underneath the gutter, that could be a sign of an even bigger problem. Like you might have some separation from your gutter and your fascia, meaning water's getting back behind there, which would be even worse.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Also, and I've heard you talk about this in your CE courses, but I know it's something we also did at our house. Are there places where just a regular gutter isn't? So I'm thinking of like Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So, are there places in our house or on our roof system that need extra
Yeah.
portions?
So most homes today are installing 6-inch gutters. For many years, we had 4-inch gutters, which we've realized in a lot of instances is undersized, meaning water just run right over it. So we put 6 inches on there, and that gives it more space to catch. However, the design of our roofs, water picks up different velocity or speeds depending on where it's traveling down your roof. Water that's collecting in a roof valley where two gables come together and then it runs down that valley, that picks up more water and more speed. So we often need to put up an additional piece of flashing or splash guard right at the end of that gutter to catch any overrun and keep it in the gutter.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, so just like really plainly say, because we have a question from Kevin. He said, are the topper systems worth the extra expense since every system needs maintenance? What would you say about that?
I would say that it depends on the person. If you're the kind of person who doesn't mind going out and disconnecting your downspouts and running a stick or some kind of auger up through there to clear a bunch of leaves out, if that's not a big deal for you, then I would say leave the gutter toppers off. If you never want to deal with clogged downspouts, but making sure that your gutter toppers stay clean, that's a good option. I've seen really, really good systems that I think really help homes with keeping those gutters clear. Installation is really key.
Okay. And then Emma also asked, are you saying that she needs to get rid of her rain barrels? What's your opinion on rain barrels? And note, after we spent a lot of money on our gutters and our downspouts and all of those things, he did not want me to put my rain barrels back there. So,
Um, if you're using it, there's a number of reasons why I'm not a huge fan of rain barrels, but most of that falls more into the risk of a rupture of all that water right next to your foundation. If the barrel itself gets damaged, stagnant water sitting in there, breeding mosquitoes, and like there's just a number of other reasons why I'm not crazy about it. But also the the little adapters that they put into the downspouts to divert water into that rain barrel, and then when it gets so full, it then tells it to go back down. Depending on how those are designed, we've seen many instances where that creates kind of a pinch point in that downspout that can collect more debris.
oh, okay. Okay. So I'm kind of hearing, and correct me if you don't think this is true. If you are willing to maintain your rain barrels regularly, make sure that they're functioning well, get out there in the rain and make sure that rainwater is either flowing into the barrel or back down the downspout when needed. If you can do all those things, great. And we always did disconnect them over the winter. We drained them and disconnected them over the winter. If you can do all of those things, great. I know I love them for my garden, but if not, caution.
Yeah,
Proceed with caution.
yeah. It goes back to like there is almost nothing in our homes that is maintenance free. And so there's so many great products out there and ideas. Like if you're an avid gardener and you're using that water, that is a great way to use the water that's naturally occurring in our environment. But if you got to be active out there, is it staying in good condition? Because your largest investment is sitting right next to that rain barrel in most cases.
Yeah, good point. Okay, I think we're getting to the end of the gutter. Is there anything else that you think we need to share?
Well, I like to talk about the subsurface drains.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
One of the things I tell all of my home inspection clients and is as soon as you move in, first big rain, get your raincoat on and walk out and play in the rain a little bit. And look up at your house and see how it's managing the water. So that's a good chance to see, do I have water overrunning gutters anywhere? Do I have, because that's a problem with my gutters, but also go over to where that downspout connects to that drain that goes into the ground and see if you got water rushing back up out of that thing. Because if you have a clogged drain underneath the ground where the downspout goes down, you might as well just be dumping the water right next to your foundation. So that's another area of maintenance. Are those lines underneath the ground clear? Another way to do it, if you don't like to play in the rain, is go out there and pop the cap up on that thing enough so that you can stick a garden hose in and just run some water down it. It should be run to daylight somewhere. So if you run a garden hose down a gutter drain for a little bit, you're going to end up with a wet spot somewhere in your yard. You're going to know where that drain terminates.
That's a great tip.
And then the big thing is making sure that water's not coming right back up out of where you stuck that hose.
Because then you have a problem.
Then you got a problem.
Go ahead.
If you're looking around those drains and you see a lot of soil erosion, like a depression in the ground around it, that's a sign that water is not making it down that drain and out where it needs to go.
And so if I see that and I'm a super handy person, can I just use like a plumbing snake to try to like...
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Depends on what's got it clogged up, but
yeah,
it's certainly worth a try.
Okay, yeah. So maybe you can try from both ends to clear it yourself. If not, a plumber's going to be your best friend.
Yeah, and we see many houses where the older homes had clay pipe for those gutter drains underneath the ground, and they've just been destroyed. Like they're cracked and collapsed and all that. So now the house is just using a downspout extension. If you have downspout extensions, here's my final word. If you have downspout extensions, make sure it's getting the water at least 4 feet, preferably 6, away from your foundation. Do not use the splash guards. The splash guards do exactly what they're called. Like, they were incredible when they marketed these things. They were testing these things in the lab, and they're like, it's just splashing water everywhere. And
call it a splash guard.
And that's what happens. The water dumps down there. The soil erosion happens. It ends up pitching back towards the house, and it's just not worth it. So make sure you're getting a proper extension on that thing and get the water away from your house.
And because I also hear him say this often, sometimes you might have a teenager mowing your lawn like we do in our house. And so sometimes they're not always super diligent with putting the extensions back on afterwards. Just do it. Like, just become in the habit of making sure if you have those downspout extensions that every time after you mow the lawn, that's, it's part of the process to put your downspout extension back on. It's actually one of my favorite things to go around and look at buildings, because almost always, if there's not an underground drain system, is that what you're calling it? What it's called? Subsurface. If you don't have that, like often when I am out and about, I will see a building that has these downspout extensions, or they probably have a splash guard, and it's moss covered, and they're not even lined up. Like, they're not lined up at all. So next time you're out and about looking at a store or a hotel or something like that, I bet you will be able to find a downspout extension that is absolutely not doing its job and might as well not even be there. So, yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, friends who commented, and have a great evening.
Yeah, see ya.
Okay.